How you guys doing, man? Welcome to Hoop Narrative today, man. Iztok, appreciate you pulling up the Hoop Narrative. Hey, Iztok, how you doing? I can hear you. Can you hear me perfectly?
Yeah, I can hear that.
Okay, now I can hear you, man. Appreciate you coming to Hoop Narrative and having this conversation with me, man. I greatly appreciate it. Definitely want to start off with that.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. So looking forward to this.
Oh yeah, no problem, no problem. Um, Definitely wanted to get off and start with just asking you a question like, how did you get into the analytics of basketball? Like, what made you want to get into the analytics of basketball and following Luka Doncic?
I mean, following basketball for a long time, so always been a fan, always watched it, always followed it closely. But then, let's say it coincided with as Luka entered the NBA, I started to follow the Mavericks, uh, Dallas media more closely. And it was also a time when for my, let's say, in my professional life, in my professional job, started to do even more analytics. I've always been a heavy user of it, like using it to make business decisions. But then also during the COVID times, I started studying how NBA teams are doing it, how analytics evolved in the NBA. And I was lucky, or let's say, to be in the right place. So I got connected to some people who are doing this for NBA clubs. They introduced me to some of the tools or some of the data. So that's when it really kicked off. But I've always been, let's say, a person who was used data
Okay.
to to dissect, let's say, and find narratives and find stories and for storytelling.
No, yeah, you could definitely see that. You could definitely see that. And I definitely wanted to say, um, just, following you since you started to cover Luca and being along with my Lakers is definitely refreshing. The articles and the data that you put out, definitely refreshing. Just, it's very understanding and it doesn't seem like you're trying to, be the smartest. It's understandable. So I definitely appreciate you for that.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks.
Um,
Trying.
oh yeah, nah, you good. The first thing I wanted to ask you is, I'm big on data as well, and I've done some deep diving into your
Mhm,
data. The one of the things I noticed is, Luka Doncic in regards to his his mid range shooting.
mhm.
And I seen you had him, at 75%. I just wanted to ask you in regards to the Laker offense and LeBron coming back. Also in regards to Austin Reeves, how sustainable do you think that is?
Oh,
The
I think.
mid range dominance
Yeah.
that he's showing right now.
I mean, it's not only him. If you look at the team, they're the best mid-range shooting team in the NBA.
Right.
And not only from short mid-range, but also from long mid-range. So basically from both, their total mid-range, I think, is around 60%, which is, I think that's an outlier. That's like some early season hot shooting. But it's not only Luka. He's having a crazy season in that regard. I think he's at around 74% on mid-range shots at the moment, which is crazy. But it's not only him. I think all the key players, Rui, Reeves, even Drake Laravia, Ayton, they're all shooting well above their career averages from mid-range. Now, they are good mid-range shooters.
Right.
Everybody, maybe Drake Laravia is not as let's say, as well known for the mid-range shot, but Rui, Ayton, Luka, they've been all above, or let's say among the better mid-range shooters in the NBA. But the way they are shooting it now, that will come down. But I think there is also, on the other hand, there is a lot of uh, things that they can improve, which is mostly the three-point shooting. So Lucas, I think three-point shots has not fallen yet at the rate that it has in the past. So I think once that will start falling, that will compensate for some of the mid-range. And like you said, once LeBron comes, I think it will open up the floor even more mid-range, even more mismatches, even more rotations, so more three-point shots.
Yeah, and it's crazy that you mentioned that. I was looking at I was reading an article when you were talking about Portland, and kind of in that last game where our shot diet of threes was it was a higher volume. I mean, our
Mm.
shot diet of mid range was a higher volume than the threes. Do you think that's something that's sustainable, or do you think it was kind of just based on the game? Or I definitely want to know your thoughts on that because we definitely shot a lot of mid range shots that game.
This is something that's, let's say, a trend that I will certainly keep an eye on because I don't know. Last season, I don't know if you followed. I started writing when when Luka trade happened. Basically, the Lakers were among, I think, in bottom 13 of the NBA in three-point accuracy, three-point frequency, because AD, and this is the problems that the Mavericks have now. The team that Anthony Davis is on will always be very mid-range, long mid-range reliant, right? And when Luka came to the Lakers, I think they almost jump start because he's like 10 3-point attempts per game, you know? So they were almost right at the top five in the three-point accuracy. But this season, that hasn't happened. Again, it's a strange season. Luka missed half of the game. LeBron is not there.
Right.
But it's the fact that uh, Ayton has a similar effect on offenses that Anthony Davis has. So I think that is a lot of more mid-range shots. You can see his game. He wants to shoot that free throw line jumper, and if he is on the floor, he is a relatively above average usage guy. So you will feed him, and you will feed him for mid-range shots, not for the rim shots. So I would wait a little bit for a
Okay.
couple more games for the full roster, but I think that is something to see because knowing JJ, he is very, very analytically driven. I think they would still like to create more the rim and the free.
Yeah, that's funny. You definitely going right into some of the stuff I want to talk about. The Ayton Luka synergy. I see you highlighted like the strong paint scoring 63% in the mid range, along with Luka, and then the combined 71 with Reeves, Ayton, and Rui. I just want to ask you, is there any like specific pick and roll or post feeding actions you think the Lakers could run that could elevate, DeAndre Ayton to possibly getting to maybe a 20 point per game average?
I don't think when everybody's healthy or even with Luka and Reeves, because they take so much of the shots, I don't think Aiton is averaging 20 per game.
That's fair.
But I think, but I think around 15, where he's now, I think 14, 15, 16. I think that's a sweet spot. And basically, if you look at Luka's career, there wasn't many bigs that were scoring even at that rate. I remember when I did Ayton breakdown, I think the closest, let's say in terms of skill set, the closest guy that I remember playing with Luka was Christian Wood, who had like a career season in Dallas. He was almost like an all-star level at that rate. He was like scoring at 18, 19 per game, even more 20 when he was a starter. And he had a similar mix of, he had more of a pop like a free ball, but Ayton can pop for a free throw line jumper. What I think is cool with Ayton and his scoring, and this is what we saw in the games that Luka missed or Reeves missed, is he is the guy that for a certain games or for a couple of games you can upscale his usage and he can be that 20 points per game guy, which is good thing to have where your stars are missing games, but it's not something you would want to have like on a consistent base for your NBA offense because he hasn't been never that consistent to do that for a full season.
Yeah, that made me think of a question. I want to know your thoughts on the narrative that Luka's better. Obviously plays better with lob threats like a Gafford or a Lively. But his synergy with DeAndre Ayton, do you think that's something that like he's trying to make work? Because a lot of people feel like it can't work because, sometimes he's a guy that's in the pocket and Luka kind of, at times doesn't want to make the pocket pass. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, you saw, I think Luka enjoys having a ring trap around those lobs. That you see this chemistry, you see it with Jackson. But I think watching him, or even if you look at his pass, he will be effective on offense with any kind of a big. Even this summer on our national team, we didn't have our big man was very ground based, no vertical leap, no threat, and he still figured out eventually how to use him by the end of the tournament. So I think, and I was very early on this Ayton. Even I think back in June I started to write because he was the only guy, only really quality, talented big that could be available. And I said, I think for the playoffs or for more complex matchups, you need a big that's more versatile. Yeah? So because we see with rim rolling big is typically effective against a certain coverage, where especially in drop, where Luka gets you in that limbo where it's like, okay, will you commit to him having his player on his back, like with this hostage dribble, or snake dribbles, and then do you commit to him or do you uh, leave and you leave the lob open? But I think with the pocket pass, with the Ayton, with free throw line, I think even today against Wemby, even if you have a Jackson Face or if you have a Gafford, you're not getting many lobs because he will break them down. But I think having Ayton as a threat to pop for a long mid-range shot, I think can be a good counter to have against a, let's say, rim protector like him. So I think Ayton will bring much more versatility and also just a guy who you can dump a late possession, let's say pass, or who can be effective against switches, because this is something that Dallas had a problem in the finals when Boston basically decided to defend Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively with Jason Tatum, and then put Jaylen Brown on Luka. So they would just switch every pick and roll.
Mm.
This is something I think if you have a big like Ayton, who hopefully will be able to punish some of these smaller guys by scoring inside, it's again additional counter that you have.
Yeah, because that's one thing I noticed with Gafford and Lively when Luca played in Dallas was if they caught the lob, if they couldn't caught the lob, couldn't score off the lob, it was hard for them to score. Like if they came down with it. So I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think Dallas tried to, even in the finals, force feed Gafford on a couple of possessions, but really weren't successful. And that was basically the end game of the lob game during the finals. But of course, the finals is like the last bar, and Celtics were the ultimate defensive team. That Celtics, I think, that title team was great. But it's like I said, against the switch, I think it's something that when you have a big that can seal, that can score inside, I think that's a great option. And we can see with JJ even installing some of this year, not only on switches, but just in transition. I don't know if you watch a lot, you can see
Yep.
Rui running to the rims, sealing the mismatches,
Yep. You see that
or
a lot. He's
Ayton.
he's getting a lot
Yeah,
of seals in the middle. Yep.
yeah. And imagine when you get LeBron back. I mean, there will be tons of mismatches. So you have some guy picking up LeBron or some guy picking out Luka, and then I mean, Rui will, in most cases, just be bigger than most of the guys. I think even in the Minnesota series, I think they started with Mike Conley on Rui, and Lakers tried to fit him a little bit, but then didn't do that. So I think if they could establish some of these concepts to punish that with Ayton, with Rui against
Hmm.
smaller defenders, I think that's a dimension that Lakers can really use to be even more successful on offense this season.
Yeah, that definitely goes to my next question. Our Lakers, we rank in the second and half court offense efficiency, obviously thanks to Luka and Austin. With Braun coming back, is what tweaks from your knowledge do you think JJ is going to make just to, you know what I mean, just to kind of make this process a smooth sailing?
I think we'll see some of the stuff that we see in last year in the regular season.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember couple of the best games. I think Memphis game comes to mind late in the season, regular season. The Rockets game comes to mind, where the three of them were running actions and they would just choose. They would just pick on the smallest guy. So in the Rockets game it was Fred VanVleet. In Memphis game it was Ja. So when you put these three, typically they run some force action or some other sets. They would just, and this is what LeBron was talking about in his Mind the Game podcast. They can just manipulate the matchups the way they want. And I think this is something that's really hard to counter. So this is, I think, schematically, but otherwise it's just one more guy, one great decision maker, one more great guy in the rotation. Because last year, post-trade, I think their starting five, even the regular season, even the playoffs, they were great, but they didn't have this 6th, 7th, and 8th guy. So you could see Jordan Goodwin getting minutes, Lando getting minutes, Gabe. But now you have, I don't know, Laravia, you will have, you have Smart, you have much more quality. And when LeBron comes back, they will, the rotation of their best 6, 7, even 8 guys, I think it's much more deep and much more there's much more talent there than it was last year.
Nah, that's you mentioned Jake LaRavia, and I was seeing the stat that he's leading with 24 deflections. What how impactful do you think Jake LaRavia's play is to somebody like Luka, in your opinion?
Sorry, this is something that we've seen in Dallas is basically guys that are athletic, that will run, that are fast, will thrive with Luka. There was a lot of there was a narrative throughout Luka's career, and even I was wondering, because there was always the first 4 or 5 years of Luka's career, Dallas was always this half court, one of the slowest paced teams in the NBA. And then when they brought athletes, I think the year that they went to the finals, they just transformed in top 10 in pace. They started to run, and you could see Luka like now, when he gets the ball, just look cross court and just find the guy who is the fastest down the floor. Now, Laravia is maybe not the athlete that, I don't know, Jones Jr. was, but he's very fast and he has a high motor, so he's always on the move, always running. So you could see, even in the past couple of games, uh, just Luka finding him for easy transition looks, or you can see him, uh, I don't know, getting easy opportunities on cuts. He's like a great guy because he will be always on the move, which I think is great to have around a guy like Luka or LeBron, because sometimes the offense can get a little bit static because they are so manipulative in how they search for their matchups. And then on the defensive end, again, another guy that's active that will get. I think he always had great hands. You could see this in his advanced stats and his steal rate. That he's the guy who gets his hands on balls, deflections you mentioned. So I think defensively and just being a big body, this is something they did last year when they played these big lineups with Dorian, like a small ball, but like 5 guys or 4 guys in the lineup that are all 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". And I think when LeBron comes back, that again, I think will be an option that I think JJ will start looking into it. But I think hopefully with Ayton, it won't be the only option like it was in the playoffs.
Appreciate my co-host Wall pulling up. Wall, did you have a question for Iztok? Before I continue asking, a couple more, before I get him up out of here. If you had a question,
Of course, of course. Um, First of all, thank you for pulling up. Great conversation going on. But I did want to ask, who do you envision when LeBron comes back being the best fifth starter option for now? Along the 4 starters that we have solidified at the moment with AR, Luka, DeAndre Ayton, and LeBron. And who do you think is like a post trade deadline fit? Obviously, what we're looking for, the prototype of player is kind of hard to find who would fit seamlessly around those 3 or 4 guys. Is there any prototype of player you see out there? A lot of people mention Andrew Wiggins, but we don't hear about a lot of different other names.
Yeah. So regarding the fifth starter, I think ideally, I agree with most that I would like to see Marcus Smart there eventually. But I think JJ and the coaching staff, I think they will try to be strategic in managing his minutes, because if you watch the guy, he's crazy. He's diving on the floor every game. He can just not play hard. So I think with such a game, it's difficult to not get hurt because because basically you're diving the floor, crashing hard, taking charges. So I think they will be strategic in how they manage his minutes. So I think if you look at the history and how they handle it, I think I I think they will probably keep Rui as the starter and then just shorten the first stints, make the first stop quite quickly. Either bring Smart in against teams that have like uh, a guy that you need a strong perimeter defender, point of attack defender on, or Laravia, somebody like that. So I think they will just. I don't even think in that approach who is starting matter that much, because it's mostly a couple of uh, early minute stints in the first and the second half, and then I think you will see much more balanced lineups. Now, who is the the main target post red deadline? I think here it ideally what this team is missing. I think there are one or two guys short that are really good athletes on the wing. Yeah, we mentioned Andrew Wiggins. He was one of the guys that I was even watching like a good partner next to Luka, even back when I was still analyzing the wing options for Dallas. I mentioned before Derrick James Jr., how good of a fit defensively he was. He was just such a playmaker, an athlete, running the floor, but he was a little bit unreliable shooter. But still, they made it to the finals with him. But I think strategically, here is where LeBron's future and Ayton's future complicate this a little bit, because I think if you're sticking with Ayton long term, I really think you need like a very athletic four, like somebody who can be a secondary rim protector, secondary, uh, who has length. For example, PJ Washington played that role in Dallas. Maybe somebody even longer like him. I don't know. Ultimately, an OG Anunoby type, which is hard to get, but it's like a big four that can still guard on the wing, but can complement Ayton like as a defensive specialist, somebody who really makes a difference on defense. So this is something that is ideal archetype. How you can find that's I think a little bit more tricky.
Nah, thank you. That was a real breakdown in that. I wanted to ask you, Iztok, in regards to Luka right now. Obviously he's 40, 45, 46 points a game. His rebounds and his assists. Um, would there be any concern with like the load that he's at times may have to take on, going like looking towards the playoffs? Are you like concerned with heavy loads early on?
I think I'm not really concerned. I think looking now or even following how the Lakers manage the whole situation this year, I think it's the early signs are that they are very conservative and very aware of this. So I I saw a lot of people were frustrating at how they treated the training camp, because Luka didn't participate in 1 week in, I don't know, full 5-on-5 practices. He already missed 4 games, but I think they basically, the way I see it now is that they really try to get him fresh to the playoffs. I think, and with the depth, especially the way they started the season, and I think this is where Austin playing the way he is, everybody else playing the way they are, getting to this good start. So there is not a panic. There is no, world is falling down because they didn't start well. So I think this is where they really bought some time, some confidence that they can manage his game. So if they will continue like this, I could see him finish the season near that 65 game mark, that is like that you're still eligible for all the awards, because of course, like every superstar, I think he wants that. But I don't think there is pressure for him to play, I don't know, 75 or 80 games, in my opinion. And if they manage to do that, and the way, like I said, Austin is playing, if LeBron comes back, I think they will be able to manage to do that. And Luka will always have a couple of game stints where he goes crazy, like now, like where he's averaging 45, 40.
Right.
But I think, yeah. So I think that will come down. I think it just, I think, and they're super fun to watch, right? So it's, I think that's what makes him so special. But I think let's say, I'm very optimistic the way the season started and the way they manage him, and the way he is looking physically on the floor, and the whole chemistry that already developed with all of the guys, like how they are with Austin together. It's like super fun to watch. They're crazy. How they engage, how they joke with each other. But even other guys, I think if you look now, the chemistry with Rui, with other guys, with Ayton, I think it's really fun and connected team to watch.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. Me and Wall was talking about that the other day. The chemistry is definitely just at a different level, man. It's definitely kind of simulates the 2020 year when, everybody was just together. So great point on that. In regards to, defense and, Luka's ability, in your opinion, Iztok, like, what do you think is the best situation for Luka defensively? Is it guarding forwards or is it guarding the center? Like, where do you think you can put him that best helps the team?
I think now a lot of time we spent, a lot of the narrative or discussion is where you start the defensive possession. So who are you guarding? But the NBA, especially the playoffs, it's all about where you end up, because the teams are so smart. They would run their schemes, their actions to get you on the guy that they want. So I think with Luka, and this is where some struggles with him happened in the past. Like a lot of people talk about the finals against Boston, where he was banged up and had trouble staying in front of, I don't know, Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. But I think what people maybe forget about that team is that that team was the most difficult to guard in the entire NBA, because they had like so much shooting around, so much space with Horford for being Porzingis. So it was really, nobody could basically defend that team one-on-one in space, and with Drew Holiday and Derek White also making plays. So I think what we learned, for example, in Dallas, when they had the offense that got them to the finals, is that they had the system and the backbone to help Luka or any other guys, be it Austin, be it, I don't know, LeBron, or in Dallas it was Kyrie. So they had the scheme and the defensive talent to help the guy when he is on an island defending a smaller, faster player. In Dallas, that was the scheme with Sean Sweeney, which we will see tonight in San Antonio. He is their main defensive coordinator now. And it was basically a scheme that had Derek Lively or Gafford, like a big, shrink the floor and typically put him on our shooter and protect the rim or protect the paint behind. In LA with JJ, we see they typically switch Luka or anybody else, even on, I don't know, Anthony Edwards or on Ja, but they will shrink the floor behind. But I think here, against a better team in playoffs, this is where these things that I was talking before, athleticism, having a guy that are really defensive difference makers. I mentioned, I don't know, OG Anunoby, Jaren Jackson Jr., guys like that are just freaks, that they make these special defensive plays, is where it really helps you then be a great defense. And this is, I think, when having one or a couple of these guys, Smart became a difference maker already on the perimeter, on making just, I don't know, a couple of defensive changing plays every game. But I think somebody who is bigger, who can make plays in the paint, who can protect the rim, or who has that length to disrupt in the gap, having that guy is, I think, something that this team is still missing to be like climb from, I don't know, an average defense to a top 10 or even, I don't know, seven, top five defense, you know.
So would you like the Lakers to possibly look at a big that could, bring that to the team at the deadline?
I,
Because I know a lot of
I,
people are like big on a wing, but what's your thoughts on that?
no, I think for this iteration,
Yeah,
especially, like I said, I think they will try probably this year. They'll probably see how the whole Ayton experience goes, especially closer to the playoffs.
right.
And you have LeBron, who won't be here forever, right? So we don't know what is happening past this season. So I think this season probably it makes more sense, yeah, to get the wing. And if you get, let's say, a game changer defender like, I don't know, Herb Jones, let's say, it's not something that will hurt you, or it's just another foundation block that you have for the future. So if in the future you say, okay, Ayton is not the guy for protecting the rim, he's not an anchor big, it's not like Herb Jones or a defender like that doesn't fix next to another great big. So I think this is probably the move to make this year. Uh, but we'll see. I think it's still, now we are in the honeymoon period with everybody. I think these first 8 games were great with Ayton, with how everybody looks. So I think a lot can happen from now, let's say, until February. So we'll see.
Nah. Appreciate you, Iztok. I got a couple more questions before I let you get up out of here. Um, I definitely wanted to ask you in regards to Rui. A lot of people are, saying Marcus Smart as a starter, but if JJ Redick does decide to have somebody like Rui be in the starting lineup, do you think that's valuable to Luka because of Rui's spacing? Like, what's your thoughts on that? Just because Rui being a knockdown 3-point consistent
Hmm.
shooter.
Yeah, offensively, definitely. He's like one of the best. He's been one of the best spot-up shooters last 3 years. So that's certainly, you see, and I think, if you look at Luka, he's the guy he trusts the most. I don't know, finding in the corner or any other place behind the 3-point line. And like I said before, I think if he is the starter when LeBron comes back, I think the plan, the strategy defensively, which is not ideal because then either him or Austin needs to defend the best opposing, either a wing or a ball handler or a speedy guard, which is not ideal, but I think they will handle it similarly to last season. The way I mentioned before, they will make the first sub quickly. They will bring either a Marcus in or somebody else to defend that wing or that, let's say, ball handling position. But I think Rui, as much as sometimes we are obsessed or we see his defensive limitations, I think him being one of the best shooters spot-up shooters is certainly something that makes this offense very dangerous. Because if he's your fourth or fifth guy, imagine starting lineup offensively now, talking with Luka, Austin, LeBron, Ayton, and Rui. These are like 5 guys who can all score. We saw Rui and Ayton last couple of games when Luka and Austin was out, or when Luka was out, both guys scored 20 plus. So they are not typically your, I don't know, Dorian Finney-Smith or Reggie Bullock that played next to Luka in Dallas, who you have to create everything for. So these are the guys who are a little bit more skilled, who can back their guy down, who can make a mid-range shot, who can make a pull-up shot. So I think having an offense with 5+ offensive guys is not something that a lot of NBA teams have.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Go ahead, Wald. I'll let you end it if you got a
Yeah, yeah,
question.
yeah. One quick question before we
Yep.
go. Looking forward to tonight's game. We got the Lakers versus the Spurs. Great matchup. I feel like this is going to renew the Lakers versus Spurs rivalry. I see that Austin Reeves just got announced, ruled out for tonight. And Luka is playing. Um, I also saw that Luka is 4-0 against Wemby in his career, but obviously that was early in his career, and Victor's having his best season. How do you see the game going, and do you think the Lakers have a chance to win another night being undermanned?
Yeah, no, I definitely see them having a chance. I think the Spurs are undermanned too. So Fox is out, Dylan Harper is out, so they don't have a lot of guards. They don't have a lot of playmaking and around Victor. Also, I think Luke Cornett being out hurts them a lot. So they've been very bad in the non-Victor minutes last season and also this season. So these are the minutes I think that the Spurs have to win. And I did a detailed game preview for this game. I broke down so how they attack Victor because he prefers to be in a drop coverage, like just protecting the paint. And they're the team that gives up a lot of long mid-range shots, most in the league, which is basically a sign of a great defense when Victor is on the floor. But these are the shots that Lakers have been hitting with Luka, with Austin, with Rui, even with Ayton. So this will be interesting. And I think Victor, because now with Austin out, I think we will see a lot of Luka pick and rolls, a lot, and how the Spurs handle this because they don't want to have Victor defend up high. They want him back at the rim. This will be like a chess match that we'll see how it will develop. I think if Luka can make this snake back three against the drop, a couple of threes early, I think that will be the first chess move that will really define how this matchup will go. But I think the Lakers are really in great groove. I think they're playing hard. Even without Austin, I think they're a better half-court offense. So if they can control their turnovers, if Luka has let's say, an okay scoring night, I think they are still a better half-court team, and they have more talent, offensive talent. As for Victor, we'll see. This is also something that I wrote about. It was very interesting how the Suns defended him last game. They put a small wing, Royce O'Neal, on him, and then just double denied him. It's similar to what JJ did last season to Jokic, if you remember that game, or what they did to AD. So I expect Smart, Lando, Rui Laravia to be very aggressive against him and try to make other guys beat them because, as I said, without Dylan Harper, without some of the other things, some end of bench guys are now playing, and you would much rather have, I don't know, Jordan McLaughlin beat you, or I don't know, Keldon Johnson beat you than Wemby.
Yeah, nah, that's so true. I was thinking the same thing, man. How can we find ways to pull Wemby out from that drop coverage? But I definitely wanted to say thank you, Iztok. No more questions, man. I appreciate you coming on the Hoop Narrative. I just reached out to you on a limb and just wanted to see if you would come on here, and you decided to. So I thank you for that because you didn't have to. Make sure you guys follow Iztok. Subscribe to his Substack as well. If you're a Laker fan, he has very informative information and it's very understanding. If you're analytical, even if you're not analytical, like his work is understanding. It's not, it's even for somebody that's a casual, not being disrespectful. It's very understanding. So make sure you subscribe to him. And Franco, I'll let you say something to end it out. But I just wanted to say, from Hoop Narrative, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank guys. I enjoy the conversation. Always love talking hoops with other basketball junkies. So great also to meet new people who follow the Lakers, who follow Luka. So it's been a pleasure.
Yep, it's been a pleasure.
Appreciate you.
So,
Thank
yep.
you, guys.
Yep, thank you. Here, Hoop Narrative is Talk Franco discussing Lakers and the Luka. Hoop Narrative podcast. We out.